Yeah. So, yes. So, um, I am sure that you have met somebody who have been imprisoned for decades and released. Because in the 21st century today, we have Innocent Project. They call it Innocent Project. So Innocent Project is basically lawyers from big institutions that have come together to help people who are in jail who had no lawyer representation. And then in the 21st century, we have this thing called DNA. And those two things have allowed lawyers to bring the case before the judge and reinvestigate it and decide it. We have wrongfully imprisoned somebody in jail for the last 20 years, some even 30 years. You may have heard, if not met somebody, you may have heard some testimonies in television. There are several programs who do that. If you ask some of those people, what kept you from going insane in the jail for that long? Their answer will be, I think this is a little too loud. Their answer would be hope. It is hope that kept me alive. Nothing else. If I give up hope, I have nothing to live for. Agreeable? Yeah. That is what they will say. In recent years, we have witnessed some powerful figures who have been imprisoned for a long, long time. And one I would present to you is the former late president of South Africa, former ANC leader Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for 27 years. And 18 years of that was in a notorious hard labor Robben Island jail. A horrible place to be. But all 27 years, he had this unflinching hope that one day the apartheid government would relinquish their racist political agendas and give South Africans freedom. This taste of freedom gave Mandela constant hope and deep love. Break him down. But he became deeply grounded in his spirituality. That kept him going. The other person I can think of would be Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Do you know he was arrested and jailed for 29 different times? 29 different times. His life was threatened almost on a daily basis. Sometimes he thought about giving up, but for the sake of his people, love for his country, he tenaciously fought for civil rights in this country. And I am a beneficiary of it. Yes, at times his hope was tattered. Yeah. At times he just wanted to disappear. But you know, his inner consciousness did not allow that to happen, because this and this was not imprisoned. His body was. You know, hope, we talk a lot about hope. It is easily expressed, easily said. You know, we probably have talked about hope this morning already. But you know, hope is painfully cruel. Painfully cruel. Because you have to sit with it. You have to sit there and wonder about hope. It is not an easy thing to hope. Painful. Painful. So, listening to people who have been kidnapped, abused, locked in a dark room, in a grim and thoughtless place, in a situation where every breath you take becomes a fighting thought. When will somebody find me? Found unwavering hope even in such pit of darkness. And they hoped. That expectation. They anticipated that somehow somebody will find them and release them. Allow them to see the sunshine and breathe without somebody looking at you. Every country that are going through, or communities that are going through some birthing pains, either some independence or some recognition from the government, they've all learned to sing a song that came out of the American soil. We shall overcome someday, right? It's just a very powerful song that moves you even though you do not know what the struggles of the people are, because that song have become a meaningful force within us. And somehow it gives us a glimpses of hope, to hang on. When children of Israel was finally redeemed from the hands of Pharaoh through the leadership of Moses, and when 40 days became 40 years, their journey became very treacherous. Moses wanted to give up as well. Because at times, if you read Exodus, he even thought these people might kill him. He got tired of the complaints of the people. And yet, God had given them His words. God had given them His words. Exodus chapter 3, verse 8. God promises to take Israel out of slavery in Egypt to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. That is the promise God made to the children of Israel. But even that did not help shape up the people on a journey. I can just think of going on a camping trip with my girls. Are we there yet? Yeah. We used to go to Wisconsin and Minnesota in the summer months to camp, and are we there yet? So that's what happened. And Moses got old. Moses got old. He no longer had the stamina, rigor that he used to. Right? And we can all empathize with him. Yeah. And so, he comes to God. He comes to God in Numbers chapter 27. Then Moses said to the Lord, Lord, you are the God who gives breath to all creatures. Please appoint a new man as a leader of the community. Give them someone who will guide them wherever they go and will lead them into battle. So the community of the Lord will not be sheep without a shepherd. The Lord replied, take Joshua the son of Nun, who has the Spirit in him, and lay your hands on him. If you read previous chapters, you will find that Joshua was a young boy. It says that he was a young boy, and he was just hanging around Moses. When a little lad wants to, follow you around and want to see what you're doing, observing. Joshua was like that. And Moses asked, why don't you replace me with Joshua? And Joshua will carry the hope and the promise of God to the promised land. But all the leaders that Moses trusted, none of them saw the promised land. They died hoping that they would someday arrive the land of milk and honey and have a prosperous life. Hope is tough. Hope is tough. So, in our text today, we have a very interesting story. Jeremiah is trying to speak to Zedekiah. You know, God is trying to do something very radical. And the word radical itself can be pretty intimidating, because that's almost like having a radical surgery, you know. Radical surgery of the heart, of the mind, right? But Zedekiah, instead of listening to prophet Jeremiah, he was so unhappy. Because Jeremiah would say, and God wants you to know. And that just turned Zedekiah off. Why would God want to deal with me? And so Zedekiah thought the best way to squelch his voice was to throw him in prison. That's what happened. You know, Jeremiah was trying to give Zedekiah some hope. But somehow that did not come through. And Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, you know, if you don't listen, Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian army, is going to come and take you over. It's almost like what Putin is trying to do with Ukraine. I'm just going to come and take it over. Last couple of days, Russian armies, they went through door to door, knocking at the Ukrainians, you know, and asking them, are you going to vote for the referendum to be with Russia? Did you read that? Do you think Ukrainian will say no? Yeah. The armies with guns, they're knocking at your door and asking, are you going to vote? Yes. Of course I will say, yes, I will. And so, several territories under Russian authority will be voting on referendum in the next couple of days. Nebuchadnezzar knocking at your door. How about that? And, you know, Chaldeans took over Zedekiah and hand him over to Nebuchadnezzar. Here, this is who you want. And now, Jeremiah is in jail, Zedekiah in jail. And the country is seized. What would you do? There is absolutely no hope. Who would the people call? Who would the people call? Their king is not there. Their prophet is not there. You look around the window, you look around the city, it's the Babylonian soldiers having a good time. Yeah. Hope, every ounce of it, squelched. They're gone. What would you say? You know. And then Hanamel comes, his cousin, and want to sell a real estate to Jeremiah, who is in jail. Is he going crazy or God is going nuts? Because even God appears and tells him, do it. Is God going nuts? Telling him to buy a real estate? Not knowing who will have the ownership of the real estate? You know, if Babylonian establishes forever, what's the point of buying a real estate? You know? So, But then, Jeremiah says, I think God spoke to me. This must be real. And he buys the real estate. You know why that happened? Jeremiah is saying to his people, God has not given up on us yet. One day this place will come alive, and I want to live. Everything I have, I'm hoping that this place will come alive and there will be realtors running around trying to sell something. This will happen. I am bidding on it. In other words, he's saying to his people, don't lose your heart. If God has not given up on you, why would you give up on yourself? Yes, we all go through troubles and pains. We all sometimes think we are the only one living in the world and everybody's gone. There are people in the Bible who said the same thing. Yeah, it's a painful stuff to hope for. But Jeremiah is saying, if you have no hope, what's the point of living? That's what he's saying. And so I'm buying it. I am buying it because God will come back. His blessings will come back. We will be better than yesterday. This is the only anchor of hope I have. Somebody is saying our real estate is God. It's our hope. If we have no hope, where can we stand? How can we stand? A lot of us are going through some difficult times. And I wonder myself at times. But hope is real. And Apostle Paul reminds his readers that our hope is in God. If God is a missing piece, then our hope have no ground to stand. And so Apostle Paul says, have faith in God and hope with God. That's probably the best way to see our future, work with our future. And God will give us a hope. Sometimes God's hope is hard to understand why God does what God does. I had over an hour meeting with the medical staff at the facility for Elena. Yeah. They are shocked and surprised how this brilliant woman is so quickly gone. Couple weeks ago, she was at least gibberish. Now she's less gibberish, and just losing her balance. Want to say something, but really can't. You sit there and you wonder, where can I find hope? Right? And God's hope comes to us in a very different way sometimes. Our human mind cannot understand what that is. That is why we all need an ounce of faith to carry on. That's all it is. So, don't die before you're dead. Keep hope alive. Have hope. Amen?